for their afternoon newscast. All right, so here we see some family members. Jennifer, who do you recognize here?
Well, I have to get on my glasses to answer that question.
There is that is Kaylee's sister.
Yes,
and
the
her baby.
Gonzalez's are here.
Yes, these are the Gonzalez's.
And his attorney. And then you also see, well, both Gonzalez's are there. His attorney is in the background. And then, of course, his sister. I would believe that is entirely Goncalves family and friends.
1 minute ago, Brian Entin tweeting, Bryan Kohberger just entered the courtroom. Still no tweet from Brian signifying that Judge has entered the courtroom yet for the arraignment to officially begin. Once, of course, he enters the courtroom, that will signify the beginning of the arraignment. Again, the arraignment is going to be a formal presentation of the charges from the indictment. And then, of course, Bryan Kohberger is expected to enter a plea of not guilty. But we'll, of course, follow this in real time on Twitter. And then the moment that we're allowed to give you the video from inside and transmit the video from inside the courtroom, we will do so here live as we see some people making it up the stairs and into the Latah County courtroom. This is believed to be in the last hour at some point. Again, this is courtesy of our friends at News Nation.
Police say there was a significant amount of blood at the scene, and it's likely that the perpetrator's clothes and shoes were covered in it. So along with the knife, the killer would have had to get rid of the clothes they were wearing at the time. It is not out of the realm of possibilities to think that the suspect would have taken them home with him and kept them hidden so that they could be disposed of later.
Today is Madeleine McCann's 20th birthday. Her family said, "Happy birthday, Madeleine. Still missing, still very much missed, still looking for as long as it takes. Happy birthday, Madeleine. We love you and we're waiting for you. We're never going to give up." They also posted a bunch of photos of Madeleine. Some of them they said had never been seen before. The video ended by saying, "Thank you for not giving up on Madeleine." I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments. Breaking news, authorities have now revealed why they took soil samples in the latest search for Madeleine McCann. As you may remember, about 2 weeks ago, authorities began a new search for Madeleine McCann. Within that search, they cleared about 160 square foot of a woodland area. During that time, they also dug 8 deep holes where they collected soil samples. Those soil samples have been sent to a forensic lab. A source says that authorities are now focusing on, quote, showing through soil sample analysis that Bruckner's Volkswagen van was there at the time. They said, quote, a positive match of soil they already have from the vehicle with the earth they removed during the search last week will be another important piece of evidence against him. A source close to the case said that if the analysis comes back as a, quote, positive match, police may be able to further, quote, close the net around Bruckner. However, they said it would be a setback if the positive match did not happen. Bruckner has not been charged and denies any involvement. Scotland Yard is keeping Madeleine's parents updated regularly. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
The syrup is still syrup in a sippy cup. He's still dead when you're done with the bottle.
Many people think that these TikTokers, Bebop and BB, are actually these missing people, Ava and Catherine Baldwin. In 2015, at the end of a child custody hearing, Katie Baldwin disappeared with her then 5-year-old daughter, Ava. Katie's car was found later abandoned in a parking lot, but no sign of her or her daughter have been seen since. In October 2017, a warrant was put out for her arrest for custody interference. And a lot of people say she looks a lot like the mother in this TikTok duo. These are TikTokers Bebop and BB, and they have some very troubling videos in some people's eyes. They have 4.2 million followers and post colorful videos in what looks to be the girls' room. They're often both wearing makeup and lip syncing to songs or participating in current trends. There have been some conspiracies with their videos that I can go into more in another video, including what looked like a demon in the background of one of their videos. People have also voiced concerns about one or both of them and that they're possibly being held captive somewhere. They have posted videos that shows them doing other things in everyday life, and it doesn't seem as if they are in trouble. But a lot of people cannot fathom how this mother looks exactly like this mother. Ava would be 12 or 13 today. And while this girl does seem a little bit younger to some, we don't know her exact age. Of course, this is completely theoretical and just my opinion, but I definitely do think they look alike. But other than that, to me, there's no evidence, but let me know what you guys think.
Athletes who were caught cheating, Part 2. In 1994, on the day before the U.S. Figure Skating Championships, title holder Nancy Kerrigan was filmed finishing a practice skate, but just seconds later she was screaming in pain on the ground after a man with a police baton attacked her. The attack severely bruised her knee, which made her unable to compete. Her longtime rival Tonya Harding went on to take first place and was selected alongside her for that year's Winter Olympic skating team. However, police soon discovered that the attack on Kerrigan had been ordered by a bounty hunter. In a shocking twist of events, Tonya Harding's ex-husband Jeff Gillooly and her once bodyguard Sean Eckhart were labeled as the culprits. They'd hired the bounty hunter to break Kerrigan's leg, removing Harding's competition in the upcoming events. Although she claimed she had no part in the conspiracy, Harding later admitted that she knew her ex-husband had been involved, but she'd failed to report it. But karma had the last laugh. At the games, a malfunction with her skates saw Tonya placed down in 8th, while Kerrigan managed a silver in 2nd.
We're going to be talking about Grant's case today in detail. So a few weeks ago, I was scrolling TikTok and I came across a TikTok about the Grant Solomon case. And there was something about it that drew me in immediately. So in 2020, Grant was 18 years old and still pursuing baseball full time. Grant was terrified about becoming an adult. And this was mainly because he felt that he missed out on a lot of his childhood because he was forced to live with Aaron and forced to go through years of abuse and control. But the one upside to turning 18 is that he was hoping to take Aaron to court and finally get full custody himself of Gracie. And him getting full custody would protect her from Aaron's abuse. And the fact that Grant was starting to move forward with legal procedure to get custody of her is a huge reason why it's believed by many that his life was taken from him on July 20th, 2020.
Have you heard about the supernatural phenomenon that sometimes happens to people in really bad car wrecks? Well, apparently multiple people who have been in horrible car accidents have reported seeing the same strange thing. It's called the third man syndrome, and it's when a supernatural presence offers comfort to a victim during a survival situation. I'm going to share one of the crazy stories with you now, but if you're interested in this, tonight's episode is going to be all of these stories. So a few years ago, a Reddit user was in a horrible car wreck. Like so bad they cut the car door off to get them out. They black out during the accident, but as they come to, they see a woman open their car door and get into the back seat. And the woman put her hand on the driver's shoulder and told him that it was going to be okay. And then she said that help was on the way. The user then blacked out again and came to with a fireman cutting off the door of the car. Afterwards, they're with it enough to talk to the police officers and the firemen on the scene. And they're telling them like, hey, there was this woman that got in the car with me. Is she okay? And everyone is like, there was no one in the car with you. Apparently no cars passing by had even stopped for the accident because the fire department was so close, so it was super unlikely that anyone had gotten in the car with them. But this is not the only time that that's happened. Other people have reported a woman getting into the car with them after an accident. There's so many other supernatural stories just like this that I explore in the episode tonight, so make sure you're following along.
Breaking news, Kaylee's parents have spoken out regarding her connection to Bryan Kohberger as well as attending the hearing. Kaylee's father said, quote, I can't wait to see the evidence and then I'm going to bring it. And he's going to realize that this is the family that's going to make sure he doesn't get away with it. Kaylee's mother said, I've never been to a preliminary trial before. I have no idea what to expect. I have no idea what we're going to hear. But I know that I've got my son and my daughter will be there and my sister and my husband. However, she did say during the more gruesome parts of the trial, she would prefer not to be there. She said, quote, I'm not going to scar myself. I have visions of my own that I have to deal with. She said when she first saw Kohberger in court, she felt completely overwhelmed and nearly passed out. As for Kaylee having a connection with Kohberger, her mother said, quote, I thought long and hard about if Kaylee and Kohberger could have crossed paths. We've talked as a family, we've done a lot of research on what's out there. None of it makes sense. Kaylee's brother also stated that he's skeptical of the media reports suggesting that the suspect was at a party thrown by the victims. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Inside, crime scene investigators presumptively tested more than 50 items for blood. A screwdriver, a pizza cutter, a light switch, things like that. Really anything that had a dark brown or reddish stain. The vast majority of these things tested negative, but 2 spots in Kohberger's bedroom preliminarily tested positive. Kohberger appeared in court in an orange jumpsuit where he was expected to enter a plea, but instead chose to use Idaho's standing silent plea, which means he has not pleaded either way but can still be tried. This led the judge to enter a not guilty plea on his behalf, and he set a trial date for October 2nd.
When I got the vandal alert that there had been a homicide on campus on King Road, I called her 3 times. She didn't answer. I texted her 4 times. She didn't answer.
Just the worst news you could ever possibly imagine. You know, I just kind of went numb for about 30 minutes.
We were like, okay, it's an accident. Let's not panic, you know. And I remember texting Kaylee. See if she was okay. She obviously didn't ever respond. It was in the morning.
Question for the ladies. Why in the fuck are you so obsessed with serial killer documentaries?
The body cam video was a Gabby I'd never seen. She was petrified. Her voice, the way that she was carrying herself, that was terror. I mean, that was hard to watch. For Brian, I felt rage. For Gabby, I felt the deepest amount of fear.
Earlier this week, Polish archaeologists announced that they had discovered a vampire burial. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is it a vampire? No. Is it a burial? Abso-fucking-lutely. This unfortunate young woman likely lived around the 17th century and was buried with full accordance to vampire superstition, as you can tell by the agricultural scythe across her neck, with the presumed intention being that if the deceased were to rise again to suck the blood of the living, she would be immediately decapitated. It's just like the old saying goes, why kill when you can overkill? Beyond this, the young woman was also found with a padlock around her toe. This was likely more of a symbolic feature signifying the permanence of death and the banishment from the world of the living. So what is the story here? While archaeologists have found no immediate evidence of foul play, the presence of this one naturally protruding tooth has shed some light on the topic. And as heartbreaking as it is, we could be looking at a tale as old as time. One where the violence and hate from the fearful and superstitious is so often channeled towards those who are different.
Some hikers were cutting through the Johnson Meadows area, and they saw this woman who was just standing off to the side of the meadow. She was by herself. She had no gear with her. She was barefoot. She had a black shirt on. She had blue jeans on. She had a bruise on her face, and she was just kind of standing there as if she was waiting for something. She didn't wave them down. She didn't act distressed. She didn't look like she needed any help. They just kind of saw this person minding their own business, and they walked right on past her. It wasn't until those hikers got to the parking lot that they saw all these missing person flyers out for Sandra Hughes, and they would see the picture of Sandra and they would see her distinctive blue hair, that they would say, oh my goodness, the barefoot woman we just saw standing in the forest is Sandra Hughes. And so the hikers called the sheriff's office. They headed out to where they had claimed to have seen her, but there was no sign of her, and there was nothing left behind that would indicate where she might have gone. The following day, Sandra's vehicle was located.
This was the last photo ever taken on Chelsea McPherson's camera before she went missing. So just outside of Seattle in 2004, high school junior Chelsea McPherson's teachers noticed something was wrong with her. For one, it appeared like she just entirely stopped sleeping. She apparently mentioned to a friend that every time she fell asleep, she said that she saw the image of a clown that she referred to as Mr. Bubbles. Her English teacher also reported that she was constantly looking outside of the classroom window as if something was out there watching her. Police evidence gathered after her disappearance showed that her notebooks were full of sketches like this with what police now believe to be Mr. Bubbles. October 4th, 2004 was the last night anyone saw Chelsea. The last text sent from her phone was to her friend saying, "I'm tired of being afraid." And now,
Two-sentence horror stories. My sister says that mommy killed her. Mommy says that I don't have a sister. Did mommy kill the sister and we're talking to ghosts? Or are we just simply hallucinating? Either way, I am shook the house down mama boots on God. You hear your mom calling you into the kitchen. Nothing out of the norm here. She would usually call me 5 times until I actually came. As you are heading down the stairs, you hear a whisper from the closet saying, "Don't go down there, honey. I heard it too." Oh my God. How do we know which one's the actual mom? I was probably in my room minding my own business. I don't know who got up the stairs or who's in the kitchen. We're dead. We're dead. I can't move, breathe, speak, or hear, and it's so dark all the time. If I knew it would be this lonely, I would have been cremated instead. What? This is a dead person? Oh my God.
Police fear they have already found 14-year-old Jessica McHenry. They had found her 3 hours before Tammy even called and reported her missing. Because what are the chances that around 4 p.m. that day, 2 men had stumbled upon the body of a teenage girl, and now at 7 p.m., a mother is calling to report her 14-year-old daughter missing? Nobody's seeing her for hours.
That never happens.
It never happens. And police don't want to tell Tammy, well, we already found a teenage girl's body in case it's not her daughter, but also, what are the chances? So they're like, we need your daughter's dental records right now to make this identification. So earlier that day, long before Tammy became worried about Jessica's whereabouts, just before 4 p.m., 2 truckers were driving on their way to a garbage dump when they saw smoke rising from the hillside just off of the road. So they pulled into a turnout and climbed the hill on foot to try and put the fire out. Climbing towards the smoke, they eventually reached the crest of the hill where they stopped dead in their tracks. There was a small fire, but it wasn't accidental. The body of a young girl was burning on the side of the hill. She was half naked and unrecognizable as her hair and face were completely burned at this point. A park ranger in the Livermore area called 911 after this, telling police that he had 2 gentlemen come into the park and report that they found a dead body. They said they found a female body half naked, and according to them, she had just been set on fire and the body was smoldering. The next morning, June 12th, 1991, literally the day after Jessica disappeared, Tammy Dunn gets the news that no mother should ever have to hear. Her daughter's body had been found. But what happened to Jessica? How does a girl go missing while walking down the road in broad daylight?